Welcome to Degays Watch Degrassi. I'm Marisa.
And I'm David.
So today we are doing things a little bit differently because we are bringing you a special episode. This episode is a tribute to the actor Jahmil French, who we learned sadly earlier this week he passed away. He is the actor that played Dave Turner in seasons 9 through 13. He is a fan favorite by many, one of the characters with a lot of development. He grew a lot while we watched him, and seeing Jahmil's acting come to life was always a pleasure and a joy. He was really funny, and he will be missed by his fans, and we send out condolences to all his family, his friends, and everyone who worked with him. So what we're going to do today is we're going to remember Jahmil's performance of Dave Turner, talk about the character, and remember some of our favorite moments and our favorite quotes. So, as I said, Dave Turner came in season 9. Like many of the characters, when he first starts high school, he's worried about popularity and girls liking him, and isn't looking ahead or worried about any of those quote-unquote important things. He's the classic teenage boy. He starts off flirting heavily with really anyone who comes into contact with him. First Fiona, then Jenna, and eventually Allie, who was a part of his growth journey.
What's the first story with him in it?
Sorry?
What's the first story with him in it?
I think the first story, he's like, when we first get introduced to him, he's a minor character. So, he suggests to Holly J to have a toga day. That is like the first time we see him talk on screen. Then later he is hitting on girls and trying to make his mark on the school. One of his funniest moments is when he gets into a fight with Bruce, literally a pissing contest, because he doesn't pee on his locker, but he like pees in a bottle and puts it on his locker. And then later, Bruce throws a pee-filled balloon at him for revenge.
How'd he get his pee in a balloon?
Maybe he had just like a really, like the velocity of his pee was just strong enough to fill it. Do you think that's physically possible?
Maybe.
So that's one of his moments where he's just being a silly teenager. There's a lot of moments that show where he has room to grow. He's an unloyal friend to Connor and to Wesley in different scenes. With Connor, he blows him off for the other basketball dudes. With Wesley, he betrays him by tasing him so that his other friends will think he's cool. So examples of where where Dave had room to grow. But, another example was him making the hottest girl list, which lands him on the Biggest Loser list that Allie makes as revenge. More evidence of his short-sighted, young attitude in the first season that we see him. But as things go on, he has a few experiences that help him grow. He becomes a part of the 3 Tenors, which at first he cares a lot about what people think, but then he realizes that if he takes a chance, he can actually look cool and have fun with his friends. So after the 3 Tenors band and Dave kind of learning that lesson,
is that like an a cappella band?
No, so the plot of this was, if you remember, Dave is like feeling down because he wants to get the ladies and he doesn't have a girlfriend. And then Connor and Wesley decide to start a band so that they can try to get girls.
I do not remember this plot.
And it's because it's so short. So Wesley plays flute. And then Connor is like DJing / like essentially like using Rock Band to like mix the backtrack, essentially, is what he's doing. And then they plan for Dave to be the singer. And they're like, okay, we're going to do, it's kind of like a rap / singing sort of poppy song.
Mm-hmm. With flute?
With flute. And, you know, we should... Yeah, so let's listen to the song so you can remember what it is. But essentially, Dave ends up singing on the track, and they realize, uh-oh, wrinkle in the plan. Dave is not good at singing. He sounds bad. Mm. And then, like, Connor kind of pulls one of his honesty moments and is like, you sound terrible. Like, and he says that after they mix it and they do kind of, like, auto-tune-y. And this is when, like, T-Pain and all that is, like, really popular. So it's sort of, like, in that style.
With a flute.
But he gets mad because he feels... He has a little bit of an insecurity problem, and he feels criticized by that. You know, like, oh, I'm not good enough on my own. You had to remix it, when they were just trying to be good friends and support him. But in the end, he ends up agreeing with them that it's cool, and they end up getting closer. And some girls actually say that it's funny, and so, anyway, here, let's... Alright, if you want to listen to it yourselves, you can go ahead and find it on YouTube.
Or just not.
It's very funny. It has, like, purposefully friending, unfriending theme, because that's when, like, Facebook and stuff was kind of new, if you can believe it or not. That used to be the cool thing. So, there were still other ways for Dave to grow after this happened.
By being a transphobe?
I was actually about to say homophobia and transphobia combined. He goes through a period where he experiences different levels of both of those things. The first instance is he's walking through the hallway and he just is saying, we don't hear the beginning of the conversation, we don't know what he's talking about. We just hear him say, oh, that's so gay. And this is Riley in a separate plot is feeling self-conscious about himself and, like, gets really mad at Dave about it. That is the first instance of Dave showing that he has that as a facet of himself, so to speak. Then, when he is trying to get his own radio show on Degrassi Radio, he ends up as a co-host with Adam, and all is going well until there's some trouble with Adam in the bathroom that makes Dave uncomfortable, and he responds incorrectly by calling Adam a slur on air.
He does get pee on his shoes.
Yeah,
There's lots of pee plots with him, huh?
Yeah, interestingly. What's that about? But he ends up dressing as a woman and going into the girls' bathroom to try to make a point, which is really bad because that is playing into the types of things, the stereotypes and the stuff that's not true about trans people.
Also, what girls in the school are going to be like, yeah, go you, Dave. Thanks for going into our bathroom in a dress. That was dope.
No, yeah, in this scene, they're, like, all screaming and being like, what the fuck are you doing in here and stuff. So, but in the end of it, he ends up realizing that he was wrong, apologizing on air, and him and Adam end up being friends and going through a lot more positive events together, leading up to
Adam hitting a tree.
That's extraneous and also kind of a spoiler, so I'm going to delete that out.
You think anyone listening to this is like, oh, I'm going to watch episode by episode. Gotta listen for these guys.
I can dream.
It's not happening. It's people who know this.
Alright, but point being is that he then tries out for the school play that Eli is directing.
And he has to kiss a boy.
It ends up being, like you just said, Romeo and Jules instead of Romeo and Juliet. He feels unsure if he's able to do it at first. He doesn't know how to play gay. And
he like overgays it.
He overgays it completely, but he takes the lead from Eli, who directs well, who's also a good ally. He takes the lead from the other cast members like Tristan, and he humbles himself, and he also gets a little bit of confidence and realizes he can still be who he is and he can do this. He also gets over the bullying and stuff by the rude guys. So, next up, do you have anything else to add?
About what?
Anything.
No.
So, those are all our major Dave moments throughout the series. And I want to finish off with a few quotes from the series that
Well, then, first question. Does he graduate?
Yeah, he graduates with everyone else in their class.
Who does he graduate with that I know?
With, like, Allie and Claire.
Oh, okay.
And he's in their class, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. He's in their grade.
So, like, that's before or after Netflix? Or during Netflix?
It's before.
Before Netflix. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Is that right? Pause. Am I wrong? No, I'm right. I'm right. I'm right, because in the last scene, they're all graduating, and, yeah. Okay.
Where does he go in the show? Somewhere?
I don't remember. I guess he goes to a college, probably.
Oh, yeah, and he's dating Allie, right?
They break up.
Oh.
And then after that, we'll cover that later. I was just hitting all the highlights. So those are all the good highlights from Dave. He was a great character. He was, his role was acted wonderfully. And as we said before, he'll be sorely missed. So finally, I want to go through my favorite Dave quotes. In the scene with Bruce, when the pee water balloon hits him, he says, "Ugh, it's warm." Very funny. In the scene where him and Wesley get in an argument and he tases Wesley, then he offers Wesley to tase him back, and he says, "Don't tase me, bro," which is a reference to that video of that college guy, and it was also a very funny delivery. So, there you go. We mentioned the "That's So Gay" quote. That's not really a good quote, but it was part of his growth as a character. There's a moment where Jenna is coming back after her whole experience, and
her whole experience doing what?
Having a baby.
Oh.
And so when she's back, then Dave is in class with her and noticed that she's having leakage, like, of breast milk. And they're also learning about WikiLeaks in their class. And he's like to Jenna, WikiLeaks, you know, WikiLeaks, your leakage. It's like a really funny scene. Ugh, that's really funny. We mentioned before when he overacts the gay scene, and he does a really funny thing where he, like, snaps and he goes, "I will not tell you my name." And obviously it's a caricature and that's bad, but it's really funny because they call it out, and it's funny delivery. And also later when he's trying to combat the bullies who are making fun of him for being gay, he says, "That's why I'm having sex with my girlfriend tonight," which is also very funny. And as you can guess, she was not happy about that.
Oh, damn backyard.
Backwoods.
Whatever.
Oh, you were close though.
Close.
Alright, and that concludes our Dave Turner Look Back special in remembrance of Jahmil French. So thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with more drama from Degrassi.